going to get started here. Good evening. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Reading area, I would like to welcome you to the candidates forum for the Reading, These ladies aren't right. So that we don't get the noise. And we do need people to turn in questions as well. So.
So I'm gonna see if there's
Okay, now I'm ready. So we're having the candidates forum for the California Assembly first tonight. Thank you for joining us. My name is Susan Wilson and I'll be your moderator. One of the things that people always ask, and one of the issues that we run into when we're asking questions or building questions is, what are the responsibilities of this office? So I just pulled off something quick from the internet. The California State Assembly is the lower chamber of the California State Legislature, alongside the California State Senate. It forms the legislative branch of the California state government and works alongside the governor of California to create laws and establish a state budget. They have legislative authority and responsibilities that include passing bills on public policy matters, setting levels for state spending, raising and lowering taxes, and voting to uphold or override gubernatorial vetoes. So those are some of the most important things. One of the things that always impresses me about people who work in the Assembly and in the Senate is they have to know a lot about everything. I think that that's one of the tricky parts. Introducing our two candidates, Heather Hadwick, Tanessa, Audette. I'd like to give you a few ideas about the ballot and the registration. So to receive a mail-in ballot, to receive a mail-in ballot, you must complete your registration by 10/20/24. Lots of people forget that when they move, they need to do their registration again, particularly older people who may not be driving and don't get the registration fixed by the DMV. Conditional or same-day registration can be completed all the way until voting on 11/5, from 10/20 until 11/5. You can register to vote online at registertoVoteCalifornia.gov. Ballots will be mailed from the registrar's office about the 7th of October. Early voting sites are going to be available starting about 10/26, but you need to confirm the sites and dates and times with the election office. Drop boxes are opening on 10/8. You can track your ballot. It's really fun to track your ballot if nobody's tracked their ballot before. You can track your ballot on ballot tracks. You sign up and it says, oh, we got your ballot in the mail, and then we counted your ballot, all those kinds of things. Vote by mail ballots must be postmarked on or before 11/5. And of note, and this is something that comes up quite regularly, of note, the election is certified by the county after the count is completed. And then it is forwarded to the Secretary of State for certification. So remember that it's not until it goes to the state and gets the rubber stamp, after it gets the rubber stamp from the county, that the voting is certified. Keep that firmly in mind. And the date for that is not on this piece of paper, but it's actually quite far out. It's in December, I think it was December 13th is the date that I remember jotting down somewhere. So keep that firmly in mind. I want to remind you that the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. The League encourages informed and active participation in government and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League does not endorse any candidate for partisan office, which is one of the reasons that we like to do this, so that we can present everybody to everybody. Tonight we will be recording our proceedings. We have Mike Flanagan in the back who will be doing the video, and he's also trying to live stream to our Facebook page. Mike, did we get that live stream to our Facebook page?
No, not to your Facebook page, no.
Oh, to where?
It's streaming. This is what you do when things don't work. Sounds very,
Well,
it's streaming to my page.
So
So
our
it sounds
videotape
selfish.
will be up on our website and also available through Facebook in the next 24, 48 hours. So let me describe our format for this evening. For the audience, as you came in, you were handed 3x5 cards on which to write your questions. If you did not get a card or need more cards waived, please hold up your hand and a lead member will come and provide you with one. And I think we even have pencils and pens if you need those. As you finish writing your question, hold up the card so a lead member can collect them. Keep in mind when you write your questions that they have to be general enough for both candidates in this case to answer. So I don't want a specific question to a candidate that the other doesn't apply. I think that's pretty important. And we don't ask questions only to one candidate. All our questions go to every candidate that's running in that particular election. I'm asking the audience not to clap or shout in response to comments by the candidates. We have limited time and we need to move quickly through questions. I anticipate that we will finish this portion of our candidates forums tonight by 6:50 and then move on to the Lady City Council. The order of speaking was determined by lot. It's really tricky here, but Tanessa gets to go first and Heather gets to go second. And what we'll do is we rotate. So it'll be Tanessa, Heather, Heather, Tanessa, Heather, Tanessa. And so you get to do 2 questions sort of at one time. We have a timer down here. So you have 2 ladies keeping track of the time. We'll give you an idea of the 1 minute card is white or green. Oh. And there's a yellow card for 30 seconds and a yellow card for 15 seconds and a handy dandy red card for stop now. Okay. And we encourage you to stop now when it's time to stop now. Each candidate will make an initial presentation of 3 minutes about their background, areas of concern, reasons for running for office. All questions will be asked by me, the moderator, based on the questions that we have collected from all of you in the audience. I have to tell you that most of the time we get more questions than we have time to ask all the questions, so we try and put the questions together, make them appropriate and so on. Our candidates have asked to have 2 minutes to respond to the questions. I suggested to them that maybe 1 minute would be good, and they looked at me and they said, to cover issues in the state of California, you want 1 minute? You know? So we're going for the 2 minutes. Each candidate will give a closing statement of 2 minutes. I think that that's just about everything. So, are we ready, Tanessa?
Born ready.
Yes. Right. Don't forget, there's a couple hands up. And we do need questions. All right, Tanessa, please.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. Debate days are my favorite days. I'm not saying that it's Christmas, even though that is a big deal, but I do love the opportunity for you to actually get to hear from candidates and get to decide for yourself who's going to best represent you. I've mostly been on your side of campaigns because I've been running campaigns for 9 years. I've sat in that seat and I've listened and I've taken notes. and trying to figure out, what do people actually care about? And what are they saying things that matter to you? I just recently had a meeting and, they're talking to me about the stuff that's happening in Sacramento. And the truth is all of the things that they're dealing with in Sacramento are not the things that are being talked about in our district. And as I travel throughout the entire district, what I'm hearing more and more is that there's a real disconnect between us and Sacramento. And that representation matters, that we have a articulate and solid voice going to Sacramento to talk about what the North State is like, what are the issues that we're dealing with, whether that is water issues, whether that is land use issues. I sit on a water board. Again, I serve in the city council. I have the honor of being your mayor here in Reading. I sit on many different decision-making bodies. So whether that is the California Council of Governments or the Shasta Regional Transportation Agency, there's just a lot of government and decision-making that I have had the privilege of being a part of for the last few years that has really figured, into this whole, I'm talking to the people, knocking on doors, hearing what they want for the last decade. I'm in government, listening to how it is perceived in actual office, how we're making decisions, and there's just a real disconnect. And I think that more can be done. I think we've asked for more. I think we've lobbied for more. I think there are people in Sacramento that are making great arguments for business, that are making great arguments for corporations, but you don't have a lobbyist. And I want to be the people's lobbyist. I want to go and argue for the things that matter the most to you, whether that is with your children and school choice, whether that's with water rights, whether that's with wildfire resiliency, insurance. Insurance is huge for our district. Up and down, people are calling into our offices. So for the last 5 years, I've worked as a district representative for our state senate. I've mostly worked with constituents that are dealing with state agencies that have failed them. And the message that we hear over and over is, please, is there anything that you can do for us? And so my decision to step up and to serve is really about hearing your voice, understanding the arguments, understanding the things that are important to you, and being willing to go and articulate that in Sacramento. Will we win every battle? No, but you should know, and we should be visible that we're actually coming to be here on your behalf.
Thank you. Heather?
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm very excited to be here and talk about the future of our district. My name is Heather Hadwick. I'm from Modoc County. I grew up in Shasta and Siskiyou County, and I went to Shasta College and Chico State, getting a bachelor's in agriculture science, and then my master's in leadership and business management. My husband and I have been married for 21 years. We have 2 boys. Our son Sam is at Midland University in Nebraska on a shooting sports scholarship, and my son Zach just started his junior year in 16. We also have a bonus daughter, Shayla, that just started at Shasta College to become a nurse. We have a small farm. We raise Highland cows, hay, vegetables, cut flowers, and we run the county's only pumpkin patch. I think what sets me apart is my work experience. I am not a one-issue candidate, and I won't be a one-issue representative. I have a lifetime resume of service. I've worked in over 20 years in education, nonprofits, and emergency management. I've been a teacher in the classroom, doing the hardest job in the world, and I will take that with me to Sacramento. I think our education system is a everyday reminder that the people that are making those decisions have not been in the classroom, and especially lately. As a 4-H coordinator, I was in charge of over 220 adult volunteers and 350 youth members, running grants and making sure that we had secured funding. We had a $25,000 a year scholarship that I was able to secure funding for indefinitely when I was there. After that, I've been, for the last 7 years, in emergency management, which is my true passion. For 5 of those years, I ran the Modoc County Office of Emergency Services as the deputy director. I was the Emergency Operations Center Director, as well as the Public Information Officer through every incident in Modoc County. I often got deployed to incidents in neighboring counties where I was able to build those relationships, and in neighboring states, because Modoc County is also borders Nevada and Oregon. During that time, I have over 25 FEMA certifications, and learned how vital mitigation, response, and and recovery are to communities, as you guys are well aware. For the last almost 2 years, I've been at the Modoc County Office of Education, where I do safety and preparedness for our schools. I absolutely love my job, and I get to speak about it nationally at state and national conferences. I get to help people grow their programs, and it's something I want to do when I get to Sacramento, because the safety of our kids is the most important thing we can do. This week, I'll be at the Small School District Association presenting to them. My name is Heather Hadwick, and I hope that I can earn your vote tonight, because I'm here for you.
Thank you, Heather. And we can answer the first question first. So the first question is, what are your top 2 priorities?
Just two.
Just 2. We're going for 2.
2 minutes, okay.
In 2 minutes.
So my first one would definitely be wildfire and fire insurance. Every meeting we go to, that is the common denominator. We have people all over our district. I feel that District 1 has been impacted the most with fire insurance, especially in the cancellations. We need to be adjusting this by parcel, not by zip code. My father-in-law just got cut himself, and his house payment went up like $360 a month. That's not something he had planned for in retirement, and a lot of the senior citizens especially are being hit with this. I've already created a coalition and met with insurance executives, realtors, because that ripple effect to our housing crisis that we're already happening is going to cripple that. My second issue, it's hard to narrow down, is affordability. And I think that everybody knows that the inflation has hit us hard. I honestly don't know how people are making it, especially young families right now. I grew up poor. I know what it's like to struggle. My mom worked really hard to get us off the system, and I think our system is failing us because we have generations of people, and we need to break that cycle.
Thank you. Tessa, same question.
Are we, no, sorry, we're not gonna
Supposed to
stand. You need us to sit? We can stand, right?
Yep.
Okay, I have, goodness, 2. All right, definitely insurance. I would say actually up and down the state. So whether you're in the north end or the south end of the district, which are different, I would say the most common theme is insurance. There is a lot of failures at the insurance commissioner's lab. So there are, Prop 103 says that you cannot raise insurance without permission from the insurance commissioner. And Ricardo Lara has made no decisions when it comes to increasing insurance. And so this year, all of that has kind of come to roost. We're jacking up rates because they haven't been approved over the last 6 years, which has created quite a crisis. And as we know, nobody makes great decisions in crisis situations. But the pressure of the insurances leaving the state of saying that we're not going to be able to insure, we're not going to be able to be solvent, was a big trigger. And so the legislature has not passed any laws. So for us, our job as the legislature, they're asking us, what can we do when it's actually in the lap of the insurance commissioner? But what we can do is put pressure. What we can do is speak for our people. What we can do is come to committees. What we can do is tell the stories of the people that are losing insurance. And they're doing it everywhere. It's not just in the North State. It's going to be really important over and over that we communicate what it is that we need and what needs to change. There are some good things. Reinsurance is going to happen. There's going to be catastrophic modeling. While we appreciate that, there's a lot more that needs to be done, and we're feeling the real pain of it in our state. The second thing is affordability. The cost of living is insane, and most of that stems from regulations. We pass over 1,000 bills a year, which has added up to 400,000 regulations in the state of California. And every single bill that's passed each year comes with another 100 or so regulations. And that are fees and taxes on you. That puts a burden on the people and not on the government to deliver. And so the issue of affordability,
Finish your sentence.
really important.
Finish your sentence.
Top 2.
Okay. And we'll probably come back to both those issues, I think, and talk in more detail. And so you get to go again right away. So the second question is, and this is kind of hard one to pull together, but what's your perspective on working with others to create laws? You know, you're facing a super minority in the assembly, and how do you see working with all the other people that you need to work with, not just the assembly, but the stakeholders?
Yeah, so one of the very first things that you do on a campaign is build your coalitions. You go and you get advisors, you get people that are experts in their field so that you really understand the issues that are at play at that moment. You can't learn everything about an issue, but what you can learn is what are the priorities for that issue immediately. And so building coalitions in every sector was the very first thing that I've done. And I have had advisors and I've had a kitchen cabinet, as it were, for many years, working on these issues in this district because I've been working in the district for 5 years already. As far as working with legislators in Sacramento, strangely enough, I know it doesn't feel this way, but most of them get along really well. And it's a lot of times your own party that you're fighting with because, especially for Republicans, there's not as many. And so trying to figure out what's going to work, what's not going to work, how do you ally? A lot of times you need the help of Democrats and not Republicans. And so that's actually not really a difficult thing to do. Getting along with people, being able to collaborate and work together, you have to sit on bipartisan committees. And so you have lots of opportunities with the committees that you sit on to build relationships, to build friendships, to bring people into our district to do tours. I would say that's probably the most important thing is that product knowledge and understanding. I'll bring you into our forests, you take me into your cities. I'll bring you into our watersheds, you take me into the issues that matter most to you. And if you can do that give and take, if you can bring people in and go there yourself and show that you're willing to work with other people, you can get a lot done. There are a lot of people that want to do good for the people of California. We may sometimes disagree about how to do that, but we all agree that our families matter, that our priorities need to be that people stay in the state, and they're fleeing at an alarming rate. And so I do think that more so than ever, especially with the turnover because of term limits, we will have a completely new legislature in 2 more years, which means it's a lot of new people, and we can forge new relationships, and we can build a better coalition within the state legislature.
Thank you. Heather?
So I think this is the most important thing for you to have an assembly member, and I've proven myself in my career. I'm known for coming into the organizations and telling the story because I specialize in communications and building relationships. Office of Emergency Services is 95% relationships because not only do you have to know what they can do, what their limitations are, but you have to build that relationship so that when you're in an emergency, that they will come and help you and assist you in whatever you may need. Not only are you doing that within your county, but you're also doing that with your neighbors. So I've already built those relationships with many of the counties, which I think is why I won the primary by so much. My emergency services is a sector that isn't often understood and is really complex, and the things coming out of Sacramento are making it more and more difficult. And we are plagued with fires every year. We are plagued with floods, fires, the pandemic. I have stood up to the state when I needed to, and I will do that again because I know firsthand that blanket mandates do not work for District 1. And I am known for coalition building. I've already built them along the way on this campaign, but my entire life has been built on relationships because I'm a product of this district.
Thank you. You get to answer the next question. What methods would you use to ensure that you're addressing and hearing from the entire district? So describe, take a minute and I'll give you an extra 15 seconds to describe how big your district is there.
And I'm first this time.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 11 counties, which is the largest district in the state, also the most conservative district in the state. I have often talked to other members that have 2 counties and they're frustrated that they have 2. I think this is the biggest challenge because not only are we huge, it's hard to get to all these places. I just bought my second set of tires and put 65,000 miles on my car during this campaign. I'm from Alturas. It took me 3 hours to get here tonight. That's pretty typical for us. This is our closest Costco as well. So we're used to driving. It's not a problem. I am a very relational person. I already said that, but I will show up, and I hope that I've proved that during this campaign because I literally have something every night until November 5th. I think that being in the district is the most important thing, and connecting with residents personally. That's my favorite part of campaigning. I'm also creating a coalition to meet once a month and then annually in person that has 5 or 6 people from each county, and not necessarily just electeds, the movers and shakers in the community that can really report out, because one of my favorite things is taking back what I learned in all these counties to the other counties, because there's a lot of things that we're doing in District 1 that would work in Siskiyou County. Or it didn't work and we should save the money because maybe Amador County or El Dorado are thinking about doing it, and they can tell them what went wrong, what the limitations were, what the best practices were. So my plan is to meet with them every month and also have them connect with community liaisons and field representatives. We have really strong committees in each county right now, so we already have picked out community liaisons to volunteer. So I will have a volunteer field rep in every county that you can get direct information from.
Thank you, Tanessa.
So having worked in this district for the last 5 years, pretty well connected throughout, and so immediately those were all the first calls and connections to the sheriffs, going and speaking with them, doing ride-alongs with each of the counties to hear what the real needs are within the county, not just perceived but felt. Going and speaking to electeds that are getting emails from their constituents on a day-to-day basis, going to city council members and talking to them, going to the meetings and listening to the public and what it is that they are asking for, what are they needing, and is it something that a state legislature would be responsible to do? Is there some kind of connection point where we can actually strengthen them in what they're doing and or get out of their way? There are many different ways to cover 11 counties, but all of them take a lot of intention and purpose. And so having worked there already, I do know we get 3 field representatives. My plan is to divide them all part-time, so I have 6 field reps paid by my office to actually cover those districts. That is universally is what you get. You have to do more with little in the state assembly. It's different in the Senate. You get 14 slots for the district, but in the assembly, you're going to get 3 field reps. So that is my plan to cover that. That hasn't been done before, but since I have done it myself, I do know how to structure that. I do know how to make that successful. When we were in COVID and we had to stagger our schedules, I got a great glimpse of how much you can accomplish in a short amount of time. But having people embedded in those areas means that the people of the district have somebody to always rely on that's close by. And it's not explaining to us, why we should come. It's knowing what's going on and being able to pull in the resources that they need. Our rural districts have suffered a lot from many different tragedies, and having somebody there that they know, that they have seen week after week, communicates to them that their representative actually cares about them. And that's the most important thing to me. I want people to feel very well taken care of. Representation matters. I would like to raise people's expectation of what that can be, and not just there's a crisis so you can come. This is, how do we build ongoing relationships? How do we bring people to the Capitol to actually testify in committees about what matters most? Small business owners need to be coming to the Capitol. Everyday citizens need to be coming, and no matter what the meeting is and what's happening, you should know what is happening, and I will invite you into that process. There has been a collection of things that have happened over the years to carve up these districts so that they're difficult. 28,000 square miles is what we have in this district, 28,000 square miles, and I've been in every single county over a dozen times. I didn't replace my tires twice, I replaced my engine. And so, not that one, not the one up I was looking for at all. But it is true, it takes work and intention, and that's what I'm doing.
Thank you. You can keep standing because you get to answer the next question
Yes,
first. This question is about taxes, and there are about 4 different parts of this question. And I'm trying to figure out how to divide it up, so I'm going to ask 2 tax questions. The first one is, what are your thoughts on raising taxes? What are your thoughts on raising taxes? And if you had any opinion on Proposition 13, throw it in there.
Okay. I think that government should not be a burden to its people. And I think that the regulatory environment that we have, the fees, the taxes, has really burdened California. I think we have a lot of great ideas. They shouldn't all be laws. And because we really have taken every idea and made it a law, it's really put a burden on the people of California, and they're leaving. We have had at least 1.7 million people leave California, and 70% of those people are making over $200,000 a year, which says to you that that is your middle class. That's your workforce. Those are the people that had small businesses. Maybe they were both dual incomes, they're both working to make it work in California, and now they're leaving. Able-bodied people, it's quite a brain drain. I think the Wall Street Journal said today there's a major brain drain in California because we are disincentivized great ideas, great work ethic by saying it's too expensive to live here. You can't buy a house. And so I don't think that taxing is actually going to be the solution. I think we need to lift some of these regulations. We need to have less taxes. As we know, the less you tax, the more people earn, because they can actually have control over their own money. So I think we need to deregulate. We need to not be so focused on getting so much for the government that it just becomes so unwieldy that it's crushing not just the lives of people, but the souls of California. I think people are discouraged. They're discouraged to vote, they're discouraged to work here, they're discouraged to stay here, and we have to change that. We have to change the tone of how it is that we are approaching government. Government is not the solution to everything. It isn't. It plays a part, and it plays a vital part in infrastructure, in protection, in protecting people and property, but it does not need to solve every problem for everybody. And so I don't think that we need to be taxing more. I think we need to be taxing less, and we need to be reducing fees. We need to unleash the human spirit.
Thank you. Heather?
So taxes is the one thing that California always wins, right? We live in a state that has the highest taxes for gas. We have high property taxes now. We have sales tax. Every time we turn around, there's a new thing that they want to tax us on. And I consider a fee a tax as well. And even just here in Reading, I know your guys' utilities and fees have gone up. So it's hard for me to sit here and see that, because I think especially that middle class, our middle class has become our lower class. They're struggling like they're in poverty because you can't make it anymore. I was blessed to be able to stay home for a few years with my kids and live on my income, and it was hard. And you can't even do that right now because our inflation, taxes, fees, everything to live costs so much and is out of control. The government overreach is unreal, and it's a long game, but I want to be in it to fight it because I know what it's like to come from nothing and work my way up. And above all odds, I'm sitting in front of you tonight. I truly shouldn't be. I was raised by a single mom. I was on the system as a child. She worked 3 jobs to get us off of that. And living that and being in that and knowing that shame of needing help, and not that it should be shame, but there is that when we're in that situation, should be a stepping stone and not a lifestyle. And we've turned it into a lifestyle, and that we are paying extra taxes because we have so many extra programs and extra things that we're enabling at this point.
Thank you. Tanessa, you get that same question?
Yeah.
Okay, you already went. I hate this. Heather, you get the next question first.
It's hard.
How did the home insurance crisis happen? And what can we do about it? What are the issues?
So a lot of people didn't do their jobs. The insurance commissioner should have been approving to raise rates for years and decades, really, and they have not done that. California has historically had really low insurance, even though we didn't feel that way. Now we're playing catch up, and the ripple effect of this is going to cripple especially rural California, because that's where most of the tier 3 fire fuels are. People are getting canceled because of blanket fuel loads and response times that really isn't fair. So that crisis that is happening is because Sacramento didn't do their jobs. They didn't listen to the people. This is something that I've met with, I can't even count how many people in Sacramento now asking the question. One, I wanted to see the data because I'm a research nerd. I wanted to know how many people has this affected in our district, how many people are leaving California because of it, and how many people can't sell their house or are losing their homes because of it. Because I've been on fires where I've had to tell people their house burned down and they had just got cut with insurance. They have nothing. And seniors that their houses were paid off so they could go and have a lapse in coverage, thinking that they were hopefully nothing was gonna happen. And that wasn't part of their retirement plan, and now they have nothing, and they can't afford to buy in this market. So I think this is it's gonna take time. There is some legislation out there that is helping to, if you harden your home, but it's not gonna be enough. It's gonna be a few $100s off of your policy. Most people are paying policies now that are as much as a house payment, not in Reading, but in outskirts of the district. But they've gone up to 90%, and that is unfair.
Thank you. Tanessa, same question.
So, Ricardo Lar has been in office for 6 years, and again, Prop 103 basically says that you have to have his permission. The insurance companies come and say, we want to do this rate increase of 3%, 4%, and if he does not increase that, then it doesn't happen. And for 6 years, we have not had all of those rate increases are piling up. And part of the reason that we are in a major crisis is because of the wildfires. So we had some major catastrophic wildfires a few years ago, and that really just drained the coffers of insurance companies. And in California, there's a lot of products that insurance companies are not allowed to sell. So they're not allowed to do reinsurance, they're not allowed to do catastrophic modeling. So a home in the center of Reading, is as insurable as what's on, closer to, Whiskey Town. And so that are in the WUI, that are in this place. So they didn't do catastrophic modeling, meaning that would be more dangerous than what would be in the center of town. So there was not the ability to have that type of discretion that would enable them to do a better job of providing insurance for individuals. The other thing that's going on is that if you don't make these small, difficult decisions, you're gonna end up having to make crisis decisions. And what happened was the insurance companies were they were doing the things that they needed to do, telling the insurance commissioner what needed to happen, and he didn't respond. And now we're in a crisis. And it's all kind of coming together at once because the insurance agency says, that's fine, then we're leaving. We're not gonna do business here anymore because you're not allowing us to actually make money, to actually be solvent, to actually insure people. The costs are going up, you have supply issues, you've got lumber going up, so the cost to rebuild a home is going up, the cost of everything is going up. And so there's just this huge perfect storm of it all coming to roost. And unfortunately, because again, they didn't make hard decisions, now we're in crisis mode. So there's a lot that can be done. It's just going to take a while to undo what's happened over the last 6 years. But it can happen. Fair plan, not a solvent plan. They are doing some increases to it, but it isn't going to be something that lasts. There are other ideas I can talk about in another question.
Thank you. Question number 6 is also yours, Tanessa. So question number 6. The governor spent a lot of time addressing homeless folks in Proposition 1 and building housing and doing all that kind of stuff. Describe what you see in your district as the homeless issue, and describe what you see as actually the ways to recover from that. 2 minutes.
They solve homelessness in 2 minutes. So it's different throughout the district. I would say we have a smaller scale than maybe San Francisco or Los Angeles, but the issues are very similar. We had a series of bills that were passed, AB 109, Prop 47, and 57. And really the incline of homeless began in 2015 as a result of those laws being passed. You just saw steadily more and more compared to the rest of the country. You just saw this steady increase in California of more homeless and more homeless and more homeless. No matter how much money you put towards it, it wasn't actually being solved. And so I do think that Prop 36 is a good start. Which is going to repeal parts of Prop 47 that said you can steal up to $950 worth of merchandise, and you can also do drugs in public. So it's basically a ticket if you're doing that, but it happens at such a wide scale that doesn't really serve a purpose of actually getting them out of that habit and interrupting that lifestyle. So you have people that can steal to stay on the street, you have people that are doing drugs, and it's just not an environment where people are making great decisions about where they're going to live or taking that next step. So one of the things that has changed is that you have organizations like the Good News Rescue Mission that have been helping the homeless for 60 years this year. And they were never able to get any of the funding that was coming from the state in order to help homeless. So they were continuing to be privately funded to do that work. Well, now that's changed. I believe it's SB4 allowed them to actually take 4-6. It's allowed them to take federal or state funds in order to help with homelessness. And so now we're really pulling in the people that have been doing it for a very long time. And I think that that will help. They have a lot of structures already to sort of come around the whole person. And as we know, you can put them in a hotel, you can put them in some type of a shelter. But if you don't have those wraparound services, chances are they're going to stay in that cycle.
Thank you very much. Heather, same question?
So I come from Modoc County. Homelessness is more of an invisible crisis in our county. It is very cold there, so that does help. But most of our homeless, I actually served as the homeless and foster youth liaison for Modoc County Office of Ed. Most of our homeless are doubled up. They are couch surfing. My bonus daughter was one of those. It's happening more and more, especially in our rural communities, but our rural communities kind of wrap their arms around these kids and these young families that need help. So they're not even reported a lot of the time. I think you guys get the brunt of homelessness in our district. Unfortunately, Siskiyou has a big problem now. Nevada County has a big problem. I think it's because you're the hub of the services, and so this is where they can get the most help and the most assistance. And it's unfortunate because the governor has dumped over $1 billion into homelessness, and we don't even know what works. I am happy that legislation finally passed that requires an audit of that funding, so we know what works. I hate siloed funding as a grant writer and grant manager. It is frustrating to me that I can look for grants for all of the holes that we need to fill in our small communities, and they don't fit. Either they don't have the stats or they don't have the facilities or infrastructure. I think that homelessness funding needs to be unsiloed, come directly to where the problem is so that your local officials can solve the problem, because they should be making the decisions, because what works for Reading might not work for Grass Valley or Alturas or Susanville. So I think that is a huge factor that Sacramento doesn't understand. They don't even realize that our state goes this far north, especially where I live. And they're so used to homelessness that they think everybody else should be as well.
Thank you. And you have the next question. Another not really 2-minute question, but how can the state develop a plan to share the cost for catastrophic events?
Well, I can tell you that the California Fair Plan is not the answer.
Right. I think that's what this implies.
Yes, so the Fair Plan is, it's a joke, honestly. It's one mega fire away from bankruptcy, and they know it, and they're trying. It was a Band-Aid on a huge problem. And until they really start negotiating with the insurance companies that are losing money time after time, and that we have some accountability for burning down all of our forests and now communities. I don't know about you, when I was a kid, I don't remember these huge fires, but we still managed our forests then, and we're not now. They're throwing money at fire mitigation, but we have so much red tape and legislation and hoops to go through if you want to work on the ground in California, that they've given out a ton of money, but we've only treated 500,000 acres since 2016. That's nothing. We just burned that up last week. It's a needle in a haystack solution for something that is so much bigger, and they're in crisis mode. So until they start doing the pre-work and they get prepared, they're always going to be reactive instead of proactive, and we have to get ahead of it. We are not. We're playing catch up.
Thank you. Tanessa?
So the FAIR Plan is basically a stopgap. You can't sell your home if you don't have insurance, and you can't get out if the person that's buying your home can't get insurance. And so we're in a crisis, and this is a reaction to that crisis. And so crisis management as a whole is not the way that you solve problems. It's certainly not the way that you govern a state. We need to be proactive in what we're doing. So there are a lot of proactive measures that you can have. One of the things I asked in some of the meetings that I've been in with Supreme Court justices and different people throughout the state that have made decisions that affect us now, like in the 2014, 2012 realm. And what they're saying is, we just need more bills. and as we pass more and more bills and the problem gets worse and worse, I would say we need to go back to what we've done before. We used to clear our forests of fuels. We used to take good care of our forests. We used to manage them. We used to make sure that our watershed was healthy. We used to make sure that our timber industry was going in and taking care of salvage trees, and they were taking care of rot, and we were preventing drought because there wasn't thousands of trees per acre. It was a healthy amount of trees per acre. So you have solutions that we had for years and years that worked, and they changed it. They changed the law. Redevelopment dollars, that's how we actually were building things in our city. That became illegal. We've had ideas after ideas to try to fix things that were never broken. We wanted to go a different direction. We wanted to have different ideas and policies, and they're not working. And I would say we have to go back to the things that did work before and be proactive about them. We have to prioritize human flourishing over things like an owl, which, by the way, did not get better. The spotted owl did not grow in its population with the actions that we took. And they were catastrophic to all of our rural areas that are burning down because we stopped managing our forests. We stopped having healthy forests.
Thank you very much. So the time has come for you to do your closing remarks. It's unbelievable how fast this time goes. So I'm actually going to let Heather go first because you went first on the beginning. So Heather, your closing thoughts tonight.
Okay, so Sacramento's in disarray, and they are not connected to what we are and how we live in District 1. And I want to stand up for that. I want to be the voice for rural California and for our district because we are different. I've stood up to the state before. I'm not afraid to do it again. My platforms are we have the same platforms. We're both conservatives. It's up to you to vote on who you think has the experience and who can be the most effective legislator. I am endorsed by California Professional Firefighters and CAL FIRE Local 2881 because they know that with my wildfire management experience, I can back them. I am endorsed by CHP and retired CHP and your Reading City Councilman Mark Bizzano, your Sheriff Tom Bosenko, retired sheriff, because public safety knows that I will have their back and that I care. I have many endorsements, senators, assembly members, but I am most thankful for my local endorsements here. I've worked hard to get to know people and listen to them and hear what they're worried about so that I know how to represent them. I think that's going to be the biggest challenge. 11 counties is huge, but I hope that I will prove to you and I will make you proud. Please call me anytime. My cell phone number is 530-640-2175. My email is bhadwick@votehadwick.com. My website is votehadwick.com. Please call me and let's have a conversation. Also, if you have any concerns, I'm happy to squash any rumors flying around. So 530-640-2175, votehadwick.com. I hope to reach out and talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Tanessa.
Well, thanks so much for being here. I know half of you are here for the city council meeting and you are running for city council. So I appreciate you. One day you'll be up here too. I'm honored to be your mayor. I'm honored to serve in public service. As the oldest girl in an Italian family with 5 siblings and many, many aunts and uncles, I can tell you that my life has been about serving and about people. And about serving difficult people, and about serving people mostly that I love. And so I'm not afraid of an argument. I'm not afraid of disagreement. I'm not afraid of tough things and hard things. I can tell you how many times I've been punched in the face. It's a lot. I don't want to be punched, but metaphorically speaking, I can take a punch. I can take difficult things. I'm not very easily offended, and I think you're worth it. I think you're worth the fight. I think you're worth the drive. I think you're worth going and meeting and talking to and listening to. I feel an absolute thrill every single time I'm on the road and I get to talk to people about what they think government should be doing and how they should be doing it better, or not at all. And I think that that dialogue is why I've taught Constitution for the last 6 years. It's why I've served in the legislature. It's why I ran for office. It's why I helped many people get elected to office. It's because I really do think that government restrained is government that's good for the people. And so I want to do that. I want to fight for you. I want to fight for the things that matter to you. Even if we disagree on exactly the policy, there's a way to get win-wins in every situation. And you're worth figuring that out. And whether it's talking, it's meeting, it's going places, whatever it's going to take, there isn't an inch of this district that I haven't gone to, even if it's to speak to 4 people. Because every time I see those 4 people, they get excited again, even just about voting. Because morale is at an all-time low in politics. And so if I can spark some kind of joy that they should at least vote, that somebody cares and it matters, then all of this will be worth it. And so I do want your vote. My website is voteternessa.com. All my information is on there, and I have a lot more information out there. I hope to talk to you and see you soon.
Thank you. And, you're welcome to go on out there and talk with folks. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Reading area, thank you so much for coming, and thank you all for coming. And I presume many of you are staying. For those of you who don't know, on September 12th, we'll be up in Shasta Lake doing District 3 Supervisor. That's Mary Rickert and Porky Carter. And the Shasta Lake City Council on September 19th will be in Anderson during the Anderson City Council. And on the 25th, we'll be at the Riverfront Playhouse doing the Shasta County Board of Education, which is quite contested this year. Very interesting. So that concludes this portion of our event, and please vote.